Welcome to Brooks again, Global Village. We are airing today from the Brooks Legion, and we are very honored to have Mr. Aziz, who is the RCMP police officer in Brooks County of Newell area, and Mr. Scott Berry, who is the new executive director for SPEC. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Ahmed.
Yeah. So, Aziz, you want to tell us a little bit about your background and your history?
My name is obviously Zia Aziz. I'm a constable with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I'm here posted in Brooks, Alberta. I've been here about 4.5 years now. I was recruited out of Ontario, and originally I'm from Pakistan. Came into Canada in about when I was 11 years old. Came in as a refugee during the Gulf War. In Kuwait in 1990. So it's been a journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. During the war in Kuwait.
That's right.
Okay. So were you in that area then, that time, with the family then?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So we fled the country. And,
from Saddam and
exactly.
And,
yes.
Wow.
We migrated here to Canada.
So you must be a survival also.
I am a survival of that Gulf War, yes.
Wow.
As a young child when I came into Canada, yeah.
Wow, maybe we took the name from that survival.
Exactly.
No, that's good. Yeah, wow. That was 1991, I believe.
Yeah, 1990, 1991.
91, yeah. When
it lasted about a year or so.
That was George Bush Sr., I think, at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the first Gulf War. Yeah. And then there was another second one, 2001, 2003, I think, that they removed Saddam the second time.
Yeah, there's been a series of events. I mean, that side of the globe has been plagued.
There you go.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, but a lot of people died, and there was a lot of...
Yeah, it was an unfortunate event, and nothing good comes out of war. We know that from history, so it is what it is, but there have been many successful stories as well, and I'm one of them.
Yeah. So were you there when the war broke out?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
The night of, because I don't know if the viewers recall, but it was a overnight invasion.
Yeah.
So, as a young kid, everything is nice and fine. One day you sleep, and the next morning you wake up, and there's no radio, there's no TV, and there's a tanker in front of your building, pointing to your window.
Wow.
So.
Wow, that's that.
It was quite traumatic.
Wow, that's a life change in quick.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what they call. You probably have a PTSD flashback of that kind of a.
Yeah, a lot of trauma, a lot of anxiety comes from war countries and folks that are caught in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Real victims caught in the midst of it, and even once you exit out of it and you distance yourself from it physically, it still haunts you to some extent. It does leave a scar on your memories. So.
Now, one of the success stories is you came out of it, and you are here, and that's one of the success stories. And maybe other people also came out of it, and that was also a success story for it. But war is always a something that history has been written before. You can't win war. So, Scott, thanks, Mr. Aziz, following up your experience that you had with other organizations in terms of youth, for example. Those programs, that was a very much success. Is that something that, for example, to revisit and then try to accomplish, for example, in this area? The area is not the same, it's a different community, different environment, but what do you think that can be repeated also, those programs in successful way in this area?
Yeah, well, I was fortunate to be the executive director of an organization called Empowering Minds. And we were one of the in fact, the largest youth leadership empowerment program in southern Alberta. We ran primarily in the public school systems within Calgary, Red Deer, Pincher Creek and area. We put 5,000 children, youth, through this program, primarily grade 9s to grade 12, and it taught life skills. The program that we ran used a camp format, so the youth would go for 48 hours, sleep, eat, and train, and go through experiential exercises in that particular time, where they learn skill sets like accountability, about thinking outside the box, finding your voice, asking for what you want, and even public speaking and things like this, how to fail and recover from that. What we discovered through that program is that there was a significant boost in the level of emotional intelligence that was maintained over a period of time. We ran this in large cities and in small towns. We found that it really didn't matter where we ran these programs, that the results were the same. We saw, in fact, when an adult goes through some sort of an empowerment or personal development type of program, you'll typically see a very, very strong rise in emotional intelligence, but even a steeper decline, a recidivism in that, but often a new base level of emotional intelligence. Within youth, you see that rise and then a maintaining of that over time. And that basically speaks to the fact that youth are looking on how to be adults and how to act in an adult world. And we did a large study on this in conjunction with the University of Calgary. And we found out that there was a significant impact as youth were looking to say, how do I show up in the world? How do I build and maintain relationships? It can work as effectively in Brooks as it can work anywhere else. But the key to creating a sustainable community in Brooks and even a succession plan, that's where I come from. That's the end game for me. How do we have a succession plan? How do we get our youth to take this town forward is when the youth own the town, that they feel it's theirs, that they have a voice, that they're relevant, that they actually feel like it isn't a bunch of, middle-aged guys and girls making all decisions, but that they actually get to say, this is the town that I want in the future. But to get to that point, they have to feel like they have a voice. So programs like empowerment, like the program that SPEC used to run, Connections, which was a government-funded program that lost its funding, when it lost its funding, it created a big hole within the community. And so other programs have sprouted up to meet that need, but it's still not quite
where they should
available here. So one of my big missions is to create a program like this, because I know how important it is, not only for creating empowered leadership within our community, but to actually create a sustainable community for the long term.
Wow. No, that's
one of the things I found in Brooks is tremendous support for these type of programs. It's almost, can you get it going yesterday type of program. And I've heard loud and clear. And so I have a very specific initiative that I'm working on that I'd love to share with you as well.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, sir. Coming back to the school, there was there's a little bit increase of the youth at school or etc. about the overdose, the fentanyl, I believe, or some other drugs that is there. So would you just as a police officer, as a father, will you be able to share with the viewers the danger of such drugs, whether they are those ones or the illegal ones, whichever?
Just before I address that, just so that the viewers know, I have been working in the capacity of a school resource officer in the city of Brooks. Pretty much tend to all the youth's issues or dialogue with youths in the school settings. I'm a full-time police officer in the schools, and as such, I'm primarily the first point of contact for the youths when they come in contact with the police officer, whether it's in a negative or a positive light. Fentanyl is a drug that has surfaced and has made some headlines in news recently. It's a dangerous drug. A very minor dose of it can kill you. There's two aspects to it. Once we as law enforcement hear about a certain event, a certain passage of these details that come to pass into our police industry, we can either react to it or we can create ways to prevent it before things get a lot more worse in the community. And so in order for us to cater to that response, to that hike in that drug use and the casualties that we've seen, there is a hike in the education within the schools as well. So we do have a DARE program, which is primarily geared towards it's an education of towards the youth at the younger grades, and we're trained in that program to administer that education to the students related to drug use and everything that comes along with it. That certainly is in our schools, certainly a program that we as police officers have access to render that education to the schools. Apart from that, in my capacity, in my role, I have an open market, you can call it, to pinpoint what I feel there is a need for and customize a program to the youths in my school. And whatever I see heightened, I can cater to that, and I can create programs that and present it as such with the collaboration of the school board within the schools. So I have a very open, customized ability to do that. Just to give you an example, I've recently been involved in a program that we borrowed a concept of a speaker's corner from Toronto. I don't know if anyone remembers. So what we've done is, it's actually full-fledged now. We created a booth, almost like a telephone booth, in the form of a shed. We put a camera inside, and we ran themes in the school. So we have Suicide Week, we have Mental Health Week, we have Drug Awareness, we have Kindness Awareness. And so once they run those themes, it gives students a chance to come and
talk about,
voice their opinion and experiences, concerns, share their stories about that theme. And it's a collective effort of the school and myself included. And the same set of youths within the schools are now also involved in editing those footage. And so it's a full circle collaboration of police, the school board, and really the party that funded the program, which is the Family and Community Services in Brooks. So that's one of the successes so far that we've had, and we've had great response, great feedback. And my friend has mentioned a few things, and I always like to measure the success of a program, and we've tended to do that through surveys. And so once we get the response, that kind of gives you a gauge of how successful is the program, and we've had tremendous feedback, amazing feedback from the students. And you can see when they're given that role of, hey, would like to hear what you have to say, almost empowering them. And you know, it creates that sense of, oh, okay, I matter, my opinion matter, my views matter, and they're going to be heard. And so they're edited and they're put up on school TV for everyone to enjoy and everyone to see. And we've got some bloopers in there, and they enjoy that.
That's very good.
That's right.
That's very good.
Yeah.
That will start also a conversation, what they're feeling. So rather than isolating, so they will start talking about.
A lot of times what I found, Ahmed, is kids need an avenue to voice their opinion. And sometimes when it's contained, it sometimes is emitted in ways that are not that productive. And those are sometimes the incidents that I come in contact with them, and I work through them, and that's why I have that ability to customize a program. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of this, and so why do I have youths not able to exhibit concerns in a good, positive manner? And so that this project came as a result of seeing that type of incidents one after another. And I've been in the role for about 2 years now, so I've seen my kids kind of go up and down. So I think we're hopeful, and we've already started seeing a lot of positive feedback and positive behaviors within the youths in our schools.
That's great, I think. I can be a living testimony. You're making difference, I think, to the many lives in the youth, because I've been involved also with the school and the youth. Scott, so how you think, not the youth, but the families, for example, the parents, how you think needs to be empowered, for example, in your own experience?
Well, I think one of the most important things is that we need to understand what, particularly our immigrant population and non-immigrant population is bringing to the community. Moving beyond, let's say, a label of you are an immigrant, so you need to be supported, to what skill sets can we take advantage of that you possess and that you bring to the table. We in a previous segment, we talked a little bit about this with another guest who brought a tremendous amount of skill sets, but it said that those weren't being recognized, and that he's got a tremendous amount to offer. So I think that it's almost like an audit, if you would, of our community to say, well, I mean, we have people here that have run organizations that had hundreds of employees that that have bachelor's degrees and master's degrees, and are engineers and doctors and have got ideas and have resolved problems. Yet, are we tapping into this? I'm not sure that we are. Again, it comes back to what Zia has talked about, and I've talked about as well, is this feeling of relevance. People are relevant when they get to pursue the things that they've chosen to pursue in their lives. And so I think it's really important for us to be very much open to creating opportunities beyond, say, traditional, what we might call immigrant opportunities that we see here in Brooks, to actually opening up our doors and not looking so much as English as the major barrier. This is something that we can overcome. Let's look at the skill sets first, and look at the desire to contribute to the community and tap into that. I think that these are some of the most important things. So when we teach people to fish, we teach them they may already know how to fish, for example, but there's no place to put that rod into the water, right? We have lots of pools here where we can provide that opportunity for them to remember and to show us some of the skill sets they've learned in that regard.
Well said. That's good. And I hope we can continue that vision, and people needs to be empowered, so for the good for their families as well as a good for the community. Most of them do speak actual English. They just a little bit don't practice enough. You will see them. They do speak English, but they don't involve with large community. They isolate themselves in their own groups. That's the comfort zone they have. So they don't want to leave their comfort zone.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, right. And we want to take them out of the comfort zone.
And if I may just add to that, there is if we talk about the youth specifically, one of the initiatives that I'm moving forward with is building a space that allows the youth in particular to discover some of the passions that they may have around making and building. We call it a maker space. This is an opportunity to explore some of the new economy and some of the new opportunities out there, and then take those and create a continuum where they can create their own businesses, they can be employable, they can actually be a part of a changing world, which is changing very rapidly, as opposed to, say, only seeing the horizon as what is available currently today, but actually adapting to what is coming tomorrow.
That's the most important. Mr. Zia, what do you think the benefit or the advantage of a diverse population such as the one in Brooks County of Newell or other places in Canada in the 21st economic century economic growth? What do you think? Advantage of the diverse population?
I think it's excellent. I've come from Ontario, which is an extremely diverse province, and city of Toronto itself. And that's where I'm from. And coming here was actually quite surprising. The Brooks population is almost mimics that of Toronto. We have
every nationality.
We have almost every nationality here, and so it's quite amazing. And for me to come from a minority myself group, it was quite interesting to see how well integrated this community already is. Of course, we have a lot of work to do from a law enforcement point of view, but I think encouragement and dialogue with that diverse group amongst themselves as well is paramount to a joint successful community. Initiatives that we take as group leaders, as community members, in school for myself or within larger scale in the community, it's paramount for the generation, the diverse generation, to feel welcomed and to go forward from there. SPEC has a program within the school where they come and attend and integrate the immigrant students with the already, born Canadian students here. And I was invited as a guest speaker to some of their meetings, and it's a phenomenal job that they're doing. And that creates that integration right at that young age, and it gives both sides an opportunity to see where this side is coming from and learn from each other. And so when you start that at a very young age, only better solutions and better outcomes are going to be foreseen when they grow older. So I've been honored to be part of it and shared my experiences. And having the background that I have, especially with the diverse group and the immigrant population that we have in the school, they relate to me. They're able to relate to me and as a success story, and to see the path that I chose and how I came to be where I am. Nothing easy, but they're able to have some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. And I've been in their shoes, and with language being an issue, with a new environment, a cultural shock, it's huge. It's huge. I mean, English was the last language I learned in Canada. It's the fifth language I learned. So I knew everything else, and English came at the end for me, and the culture came at the end, and I've embraced it. And hey, Canada is my home now. So.
There you go. What message, for example, you have for the viewers, Scott, in terms of hope, resiliency of the 2017, especially the youth, and the importance of education? Those youth, for example, watching the program today, what message do you have for them?
Right.
It's all yours.
Yeah, I think that it's really important that we look at the keys to happiness. The keys to happiness, and I'm just going to refer to one of the most amazing studies. It was done by Harvard. It was 900 people. It ran 90 years, and it came up with 4 pillars of where happiness comes from. The number one is attachment to community and family, by far. If we look at those 900 people that were surveyed over 90 years, that was the thing that came up. Connection to family, connection to community. When we isolate ourselves, we let go to that. Building community online only serves a small part of that. It's really important to get out and actually meet people face to face. This is how we truly build connection. The second part of that is stepping out and helping individuals and feeling that difference. When we empathically know that we've helped somebody, it makes us happier. Especially when we do it in a way where it's not for our own purposes. It actually builds our happiness level. The third one is do new things, take risks, try variety, try things that might even scare you a little bit in a safe manner. But do these things that are different. And the fourth thing is be grateful. Just think every day about what an amazing place we live in, the amazing people that we're surrounded by. Those 4 things will guarantee you happiness in your life. You can take that to the bank.
There you go. Well said. Mr. Zia, what do you want to say to the youth, especially to the youth, the same message?
My concern has always been with the youth to be able to open up and have a dialogue with an adult, and even within their peers, responsible peers. Many times I've seen there's that they harbor emotion and conversation that has to be uttered. in a decent and proper manner. And if it does not take place, it creates a lot of problems along the way. And my role as a school resource officer and as a police officer, and every time I come across youth, that's my paramount responsibility, and it's what I always try to emphasize to them. If you can have a dialogue with me, other than myself to an adult, to address the issues that they have today, will help them many folds later on.
Thank you very much, Scott, for this is the next segment that you did for us, and I think people will benefit out of your experience, and if there is anything that you think the community can do, we will take part of it in order to make that vision of yours be success.
Thank you, Mohammed. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Much appreciated.
Thanks.
Thank you.
This is the end of the program today. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we hope you will join us next time.